A good survival horror game is often a mixture of good stories and bone-chilling moments. It doesn't rely only on cheap jump scares, but develops interesting and terrifying monsters that hunt down the main character. With horror being such a big franchise, it's not often that people see an excellent title put out on the market. That being said, if players are survival horror fanatics and are looking to play something new, there are many candidates who more than fit the bill in this regard. Many games have left a lasting impression in the genre in the past years and will continue to define survival horror for decades to come. Whether it's because of their intense resource management, tense combat, nerve-wracking story, or a combination of all three, there's no denying that the best survival horror games around let players experience a feeling that makes every small victory as satisfying as can be while trying to deal with a wealth of horrifying humans and monsters. Number 11. Alien: Isolation. An original story following the events of Alien. There's no horror movie quite like the original Alien, which is why Alien: Isolation became such a popular title. Its aesthetics are inspired by the first movie, and the game transports us back to a time shortly after the Nostromo's fall when Amanda Ripley is struggling to find out what happened to her mother. As she ends up stranded in a space station that has been taken over by hostile synthetics and the xenomorphs themselves, she must fight for her survival against the perfect organism itself. With beautiful sound design, immersive gameplay, and a challenging and intelligent alien AI to flee, this game provides many fun moments and nerve-wracking scares for hours on end. Number 10. Outlast. Escaping a never-ending nightmare. When Outlast first came out, it became one of the scariest games of its time. When an investigative journalist arrives at an abandoned mental hospital while hunting for a big scoop, he becomes trapped in the facility and is faced with its deranged inhabitants. Outlast is one of those games that plays perfectly with a first-person perspective. With the camera function that helps them see in the dark, the game effectively pairs found footage horror movies with the survival horror genre perfectly, creating a chill-inducing and gore-filled experience. Number 9. Darkwood. Masterful balance between survival gameplay and horror elements. Most people would assume that the top-down perspective instantly takes away from the horror of most games. However, these people have not played Darkwood, which uses this viewpoint to great effect. The limited cone of vision makes players jumpy with every creepy sound, and the atmosphere of this game is sublime. The fact that this game touches on Lovecraftian themes, despite the creator not even knowing of this form of horror, is a testament to just how effective its horror is. Number 8. Condemned: Criminal Origins. Investigating the nest of serial killers. Combining the horror of fighting unhinged individuals with some excellent first-person melee combat, it's downright criminal that more people don't talk about Condemned: Criminal Origins. The game is easily one of the most underrated survival horror games around, with its disturbing visuals being pretty tough to stomach. Controlling an FBI agent who is trying to discover the source of the mysterious killings that have been taking place in the city of Metro makes for a great time as players slowly uncover the depths of a truly nightmarish controversy. It doesn't help that the protagonist, Ethan Thomas, is framed for these murders, causing him to battle friend and foe alike in a bid to reach the truth and clear his name in the process. Number 7. Soma. A deep, depressing story hidden beneath the ocean. When Simon goes for a brain scan after a car accident, he suddenly finds himself transported into Pathos I, an underwater research base at the bottom of the ocean. Overrun by strange robotic creatures that seem to have a will of their own, Simon needs to find a way out of the derelict facility that threatens to burst at its seams. Soma is a typical survival horror in the sense that players get no weapons to help them on their way. Stealth and wits will get them far against even the most ferocious and fast-moving enemies. The game is extremely imaginative in its aesthetics, and its story is guaranteed to leave players feeling emotional and in awe of just how brilliant the writing is.
Make sure if you're enjoying our list to hit that like button and of course subscribe for future content.
Number 6. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. A classic survival horror to define fear. Many survival horror games take place in the future, but Amnesia: The Dark Descent went a vastly different route. In the 1830s, Daniel wakes up with severe amnesia inside a castle he hardly remembers getting himself into. Hunted down by terrifying monsters, he needs to find a way to remember the past. This game was a massive success upon its release, due to its incredible stealth and sanity mechanics, which would force players to be sparing with their lantern oil. Moreover, it had one of the most complex and interesting storylines, which combined historical themes with science fiction. Number 5. Resident Evil series. Surviving a doomed house in the middle of nowhere. After languishing in mediocrity for some time since Resident Evil 5, fans of the series were finally graced with a brand new direction for the series that focused on a first-person perspective and tackled new and fresh events. The end result was Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, which is as harrowing as most players would assume as they step into the shoes of Ethan Winters and try to bring her wife back after things go south. Not only did the series manage to bring back the brutality of a zombie apocalypse with Ethan's storyline, but it also achieved even greater success by remaking older fan-favorite entries, adding more survival horror flavor to them with the new tech. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a great example of how the survival horror genre can tell deep stories while featuring solid gameplay mechanics. Number 4. Dead Space. Facing unprecedented terrors in deep space. Isaac Clarke is tasked with investigating a mining ship that has been taken over by horrible monsters known as necromorphs. Through various clues, he eventually discovers the truth behind the ship's fate. Many games have tried to do what Dead Space accomplished with sci-fi horror, but in vain. With a wide arsenal of weapons, it's one of the more action-heavy survival horror games, but its incredible design and popularity are undeniable. The remake does a great job of making this title more detailed, visually astounding, and horrifying in its own right. The fact that Isaac finally speaks is a bonus too. Number 3. Silent Hill 2. A classic psychological horror. When James Sunderland receives a message from his missing wife to meet him in the town of Silent Hill, he leaves off to the mysterious town immediately. However, as he arrives, he's faced with an array of zombie-like monsters and other apparitions that look straight out of his worst nightmares. The Silent Hill franchise is a master of survival horror, and this installment of the series proves it. James' story is not only incredibly emotional, but full of iconic, claustrophobic, and disturbing moments as he struggles to make his way to see his long-lost wife. Number 2. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. A multi-branch story far ahead of its time. It's a shame that Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem ended up being such a commercial flop, because it brought a ton of fresh ideas to the survival horror genre. Its attempts to break the fourth wall whenever the player ran out of sanity were quite innovative for the time, even if they hadn't aged well. The game had its rough edges, with the combat sections being particularly woeful and a pain to sit through. However, players who forgave the minor faults of this title found themselves enjoying one of the most innovative survival horror games around, where maintaining a high sanity meter was crucial to succeeding at the game's many challenges. Number 1. System Shock 2. A genre-defining survival horror. The amazing atmosphere of System Shock 2, coupled with its immersive sim, makes it arguably the best survival horror title of all time. There's a reason why Shodan is one of the most iconic video game villains. Controlling the unnamed hacker and exploring the desolate halls of the Von Braun makes for a harrowing time, with players looking over their shoulders every step of the way. The aggressive spawning of enemies means that players can't linger in areas for too long, which adds to the rampant tension.
Okay, so that's it for today. So if you enjoyed it, punch the like button, comment down below, of course, subscribe to the news channel for my Twitter and Instagram links down below. As always, of course, I'll put my TubeBuddy first in the description for YouTube needs, tag titles, thumbnails, all that good stuff. So that's something you need help with, especially like I did. First in the description, download it today. Trust me, you'll wonder how you ever got on with it. And of course, our partner channels, and they hit down below, hit that join button to put myself and the channel, and of course get a huge range of benefits. But greatly appreciated, but of course, you never have to. But if you don't, you have to subscribe and watch the next video, or something might follow you home. You never know, stuff happens. Okay, thank you very much. I'll see you all again very soon.